At the Spring Banquet, I saved the Crown Prince from drowning and caught the Empress's eye, becoming the Crown Princess Consort-to-be. Unexpectedly, the Crown Prince favored my younger half-sister instead. To propel her to the throne, she set me ablaze and burned me to death. Reborn back to that Spring Banquet, the Crown Prince fell into the water again. This time, I cracked sunflower seeds while exchanging flirtatious glances with the handsome prince. The Crown Prince floundered in the water for a while. Watching me and the prince being all lovey-dovey, he closed his eyes, no longer wanting to live. In the dead of night, feverish and coughing, he broke into my house. Clenching his fists, he demanded, "Why didn't you save me today?" Main text: At 16, I first met Xiao Jingqing at the Spring Banquet. Tall and graceful, with the bearing of a dragon and the elegance of a phoenix, piling every compliment in the world onto him wouldn't be an exaggeration. By the lakeside in spring, patches of ice lingered, ready to send anyone slipping with the slightest misstep. Sitting by the lake with Miss Bai, we were arguing fiercely over whose jewelry was prettier when suddenly, a loud splash echoed beside us. Both of us were drenched in water, our faces splattered. At the same time, shrill screams pierced our eardrums, His Royal Highness the Crown Prince. "Someone, help! His Highness has fallen into the water." The spring chill was biting, and even Xiao Jingqing's personal guards hesitated before entering the water. Pointing at the Crown Prince flailing in the water, I asked Miss Bai, "Dare you jump?" She sucked in a sharp breath. "Is this another contest? I could swim." I dared. With a smug grin, I plunged into the water. The Crown Prince and I were pulled out together, flat as pancakes as palace servants laid us on the ground. Through my hazy daze, I saw Her Majesty the Empress smiling at me. 2 days later, for risking my life to save Xiao Jingqing, I became the Crown Prince's betrothed. Her Majesty even bestowed several large chests of jewelry upon me. My father was but a minor official, yet I had leaped to become the Crown Prince's betrothed. This truly made the women of the capital seethe with envy. Especially Miss Bai, who always loved to compete with me. She was so furious she couldn't eat for days on end. During the betrothal period, I never once saw Xiao Jingqing. I waited and waited. Just as the wedding was about to take place, my courtyard was set ablaze. My usually quiet and reserved younger sister, the illegitimate one, pushed me into the flames. Clutching Xiao Jingqing's personal jade pendant, she said, "Brother Jingqing and I have long been secretly betrothed. If not for you, I should be the one marrying him. But it doesn't matter. Brother Jingqing said that as long as you die, he can still marry me. Sister, rest assured. Brother Jingqing and I will be devoted to each other for 100 years. Her voice grew fainter and fainter. I collapsed in the thick smoke, unable to hear anything more. When I awoke, I was in a carriage bound for the Spring Festival Banquet. I thought long and hard. Since I'd been given a second chance at life, I had to stay far away from Xiao Jingqing. I couldn't repeat the mistakes of my past life. So I lunged forward, grabbed the coachman, and shook him violently, demanding he stop immediately. "Stop! I'm not going! Take me home!" The driver startled, and the horses, spooked, bolted wildly through the streets. Just as they were about to plow into the people lining the road, a figure suddenly leaped from a carriage at the next intersection and stood before the frightened horses. A gentle breeze swept through, and the horses instantly calmed. I smoothed my disheveled hair and looked ahead. There stood a man clad in a black robe embroidered with gold. His bearing was noble, his face young and handsome, yet his hair was silver white, simply bound with a silk ribbon. He resembled an immortal, yet also a ghostly apparition. Had I known such a man existed in this world, why did I fixate solely on Xiao Jingqing in my past life? I leapt down from the carriage, shyly curtsying in the feminine manner, and asked, "Thank you, sir. May I inquire about your honorable name?" He returned the bow, "I am Ning Wudao." Hearing this, Bao Chan, the maid accompanying me, tugged at my sleeve and kept winking at me. She must have an eye disease. I pushed her away, grabbed Ning Wudao's sleeve, and cooed, "Young Master Ning, you saved my life. It would be utterly unreasonable if I did not offer myself to you in return. Just set a date, and I'll pack my things and move into your residence." He paused, taken aback. "There's no need. It was merely a small favor." "A small favor deserves a lifetime of devotion." I batted my eyelashes, signaling my unwavering resolve. Ning Wudao gazed at me. A sudden breeze stirred, ruffling his silver hair. "Young lady, do you know who I am?" I shook my head. "It doesn't matter. This is about repaying a debt, no need for talk of social standing." He gazed into my eyes and suddenly smiled. His naturally cool demeanor softened with that smile, radiating warmth like melting ice and snow. The more I looked at him, the more pleased I became. Leaning closer, I asked, "Why didn't you ask my name?" My name is Shinjiayan." I tugged at his sleeve, smiling as I asked, "Where is your home? Shall we go there?" He glanced at the sun and said, "Today, I've been invited by Her Majesty the Empress to admire spring at Mulan Lake." What a coincidence! I'm going there too. Let's go together, let's go together. Young Master Ning, I'll ride in your carriage. Saying this, I half dragged, half pulled him into his carriage. Miss! Miss! Bao Chan called out to me several times, stamping her feet in frustration. Finally, she jumped onto the carriage and instructed the driver to follow. Arriving at Mulan Lake, I excitedly leaped down from the carriage. The moment my feet touched the ground, I heard Baiyuju's voice. "Shinjiayan, why are you so late today?" She swayed her hips as she approached, adjusting the hair ornament atop her head. "This pair of velvet butterfly hairpins I'm wearing today, they're from Persia." I immediately began clapping. Beautiful! Absolutely stunning! In all of the capital, only you could possibly match these butterflies. It was just like in my past life, we'd compare hair ornaments, then dresses, then how many bowls of rice our fathers could polish off in one sitting. But really, what was the point of all this comparing? Why must we insist on declaring a winner? Baiyuju froze at my applause, staring at me strangely. "Shinjiayan, have you lost your mind?" "Huh? What's that supposed to mean? I rarely compliment you, and now you're insulting me?" This. She couldn't make sense of it either, huffing indignantly. "You're just mocking me. Nothing good ever comes out of your mouth." As we spoke, Ning Wudao emerged from the carriage. Baiyuju glanced at him, her body stiffening. She hurriedly curtsied, "Your Highness, the third prince, may you have a peaceful journey." The third prince? I looked at Ning Wudao, utterly baffled. He glanced at me but said nothing, merely extending his hand toward Baiyuju in a slight gesture, "Rise." Then he turned his gaze toward Mulan Lake. "His Highness the Crown Prince has arrived." We followed his gaze. A pleasure boat slowly docked by the lakeside. Several figures emerged from the cabin. I spotted Xiao Jingqing immediately. His figure was tall and straight, his bearing impeccable, I could never forget him. After standing at the bow for a moment, he turned his head and actually looked in our direction. I felt a flicker of confusion. In my past life, had he looked at me before falling into the water? Then, I suddenly recalled Baiyuju addressing Ning Wudao as third prince earlier. I exhaled in relief. Xiao Jingqing must have been looking at Ning Wudao. His head of silver hair was indeed quite striking. The surrounding crowd surged forward, quickly obscuring Xiao Jingqing and the Empress from view. I turned to Ning Wudao and smiled. "So you're actually a prince. That's good. I was worried you might be too poor, and my father wouldn't approve." Baiyuju's face paled. She glared at me. "Shinjiayan, how dare you be so rude?" "It's fine," Ning Wudao said, looking at me. "You needn't be so formal around me. He truly is the man I've set my sights on, he already knows how to protect me." For once, I'd gotten the better of Baiyuju. Watching her chest heave with anger, I felt triumphant, my tail practically wagging in the air. "Miss! Miss!" Bao Chan's voice arrived at the worst possible moment. I whirled around to find her winking and gesturing urgently. "What is it?" I stormed over, fuming. Bao Chan pulled me close and whispered, "Do you even know who that man is? And you just walked off with him? Isn't he just the third prince? Then do you know why he's called Ning Wudao instead of Xiao Wudao?" "This. Right, why?" Bao Chan leaned closer and whispered, "When the third prince was born, his mother died in childbirth. Soon after, the midwife, the palace maid, even his wet nurse, they all fell ill and died one after another. People say he's a star of solitary doom, destined to bring death to those around him. And he was born with silver hair, how could anyone not be terrified? The emperor found him unlucky, forbade him from bearing the Shao surname, and changed it to Ning after his mother. When he was still young, he was abandoned in a Taoist temple and only brought back this year. I gasped, really? Absolutely. Having lived secluded in your chambers, you're unaware of these secrets. Didn't you notice just now on the street? Even the horses shied away from him. I kept warning you to stay away, it brings misfortune, but you wouldn't listen. I nodded thoughtfully. This backstory makes him even more intriguing. Bao Chan blinked. Huh? Don't come looking for me again. I warned her, then turned to walk toward Ning Wudao. Bai Yushu had slipped away unnoticed, leaving only Ning Wudao standing beneath the tree, gazing distantly at the revelry by the lake. He didn't turn around, yet knew it was me. His voice was calm as he asked, "What did she tell you?" I feigned ignorance. Huh? What? Nothing at all. I know. He glanced at me, then turned his head to look into the distance, his emotions deeply concealed. Did she tell you I'm a star of solitary doom? That whoever draws near me will meet misfortune? I shook my head hastily. No, she didn't. Seeing his expression, my heart stirred. I stepped before him and said earnestly, I've never believed in ghosts or gods. What star of solitary doom? I don't buy it. He looked at me, really? My throat tightened. Having been reborn myself, saying there were no spirits felt a bit insincere. But seeing the fragile hope in his eyes, I nodded quickly, really, really. I don't believe it. He looked into my eyes and smiled faintly, you're the first person in all these years to say that. The spring festival banquet began. While everyone else crowded around the Empress and Crown Prince, I sat at the back, cracking melon seeds and admiring the flowers, a rather different scene altogether. I glanced at the sun, calculating that the Crown Prince would soon fall into the water. Hurriedly, I summoned Bao Chan and instructed her to tell Bai Yushu to keep a close watch on the large water tank by the lake. In my past life, it was right there, while we were bickering, that we found Shao Jingqing drowning. Bai Yushu later resented me for becoming the Crown Prince's betrothed, calling me cunning. She claimed that if not for me, she would have been the one to save the Crown Prince and become the mistress of the Eastern Palace. Now, I was giving her that chance back. Bao Chan received the message. Though she didn't know why, she obediently ran off to relay it. At the second hour of the snake, with a splash, Shao Jingqing fell into the water precisely on schedule. Everyone rushed to the water's edge, but I patted Ning Wudao. Let's step back. All right. Ning Wudao obediently retreated a few steps with me. Glancing at the Crown Prince flailing in the water, he remarked, if I hadn't come, the Crown Prince wouldn't have fallen in. I quickly cut him off. Don't say that. He would have fallen in regardless of whether you were here. It's not your fault. Why do you say that? Just trust me. All right. He paused for a moment before adding, I stepped back because I feared my presence might bring misfortune to the Crown Prince. But why did you step back? I have social anxiety. Crowded places terrify me. He looked thoroughly puzzled but didn't press further. Ning Wudao and I had been chatting nonsense for so long, yet the Crown Prince still hadn't been pulled out of the water. I found it odd, but with the crowd gathered around the lake, I couldn't see what was happening in the water. All I could do was wait anxiously. Still, I figured Bai Yushu must have jumped in to save him. Just as I was thinking this, Bai Yushu pushed her way through the crowd and rushed to my side. Xin Jiayan. Her face flushed crimson with fury. Xin Jiayan. You told Bao Chan to warn me about that big water tank. Did you want to get me killed? Thank goodness I kept my wits about me and didn't go near it. Otherwise, I'd have been drenched. She adjusted the velvet flowers on her head. At least my flowers stayed dry. If they'd gotten wet, I'd have scratched her face to pieces. I was stunned. In my previous life, hadn't she herself said that if not for me, she would have jumped in to save the Crown Prince and become his consort? How could the Crown Prince now be less important to her than the velvet flowers on her head? She demanded, why aren't you speaking? Gone mute? I asked, why didn't you go save the Crown Prince? She retorted, then why didn't you go? I countered, why should I have gone? She pressed, if you wouldn't go, why should I have? I was speechless. Xiao Jingqing was pulled ashore and laid on the ground. Several attendants poured water over him and pressed his chest. Watching his comical state, I wanted to laugh. But remembering my own fate in my previous life, the laughter died in my throat. Before long, Xiao Jingqing regained consciousness. Palace attendants hurriedly wrapped him in blankets and helped him back onto the boat. He kept glancing back as he walked, as if searching for something. Watching from afar, I exhaled in relief. This lifetime, he and I were finally untangled. Xiao Jingqing's fall into the water threw the Spring Festival banquet into chaos. Everyone scurried about like headless flies. My mother-in-law pulled Bai Yuzhu and me aside, warning us not to spread rumors. By the time we emerged, Ning Wudao had vanished. After searching everywhere, I finally spotted him by the boat's edge. The Empress had just slapped him across the face. He stood utterly still, back rigidly straight, eyes lowered so his expression remained hidden. My heart clenched, yet I dared not approach. He probably didn't want anyone to see him in such a state. My presence would only make him more uncomfortable. The spring banquet ended abruptly, leaving everyone bewildered. Returning home, I intended to confront my half-sister Xinjiahe, but Bao Chan reminded me, Miss, have you forgotten? Second Miss is still observing mourning at the estate for Lady Zhou. Right, that's how it was. Xinjiahe's mother passed away, and she must observe a year of mourning. She won't return for several more days. Before Lady Zhou's death, she was confined within the manor just like me. After Lady Zhou passed, she remained in mourning. So when exactly did she start consorting with Xiao Jingqing? Was it after I became betrothed to Xiao Jingqing? How disgusting, betrothed to me, yet seducing my sister and secretly pledging his life to her. The more I thought about it, the angrier I grew. I tossed and turned all night, finally drifting off around midnight. In my dream, Xiao Jingqing fell into the water, but no one rescued him. He swelled up like a giant rubber ball. I laughed and laughed until I woke up, suddenly feeling a chill down my spine. It was as if I faintly heard someone coughing. Opening my eyes, I found someone sitting by the bed, none other than Xiao Jingqing. His fists clenched, he demanded angrily, Xinjiayan, why didn't you save me tonight? What the hell? My eyes rolled back, and I fainted from fright. The sheer terror even made me ill. Yet everyone in the mansion claimed no one had entered that night. Bao Chan said, Miss, you must have had a nightmare. His Royal Highness the Crown Prince is so noble, how could he possibly climb over our wall? Later, I thought about it and realized she was right. Xiao Jingqing was young, yet always so stiff and serious. It really didn't seem like him to climb over the wall to see me. Besides, I'd never done anything to provoke him in my entire life. Why would he come looking for me? It must have been a nightmare. Bad luck, dreaming of him would make me sick. A day later, Bao Chan returned and told me Ning Wudao had also fallen ill. I sat up in my deathbed, startled. Why? Bao Chan said, they say it's because the Crown Prince's jade fell into the lake. The third prince jumped into Malong Lake to search for it and caught a chill. What kind of jade could be so precious? They say His Highness the Crown Prince has worn it since childhood. It's called the Taihua Treasure Jade. Given by immortals, they say it's even the key to unlocking the immortal realm. It's all so fantastical, I don't know if it's true. Worn since childhood? Suddenly, I recalled my past life, the jade pendant Xinjiahe showed me before pushing me into the flames. Could it be the same one? But none of that mattered now. I had to see Ning Wudao first. Ignoring Bao Chan's fierce protests, I stuffed a bag of candied fruit into my sleeve and headed for Ning Wudao. As I opened the door, I bumped into Bai Yuzhu coming out. I forgot to mention, our families lived across from each other. Bai Yuzhu and I grew up sitting at our doorsteps, throwing mud at each other, punching and pinching. Oh, Xinjiayan. Where are you off to? She proudly stroked her wrist. My father brought me another exquisite Hitian jade bracelet. Care to take a peek? Beautiful. Truly beautiful. Without even glancing at her, I climbed straight into the carriage. Bai Yuzhu stomped her foot in frustration. Xinjiayan. Why are you ignoring me again? Arriving at the third prince's mansion, I stood at the gate for a moment before being ushered in by a maid. Ning Wudao sat beneath the pear tree in the courtyard, pouring tea. A late spring chill had set in these past days. I wore a winter-quilted jacket, yet Ning Wudao was dressed lightly. The wind blew through his robes, making him seem ethereal. How could he not fall ill? Third prince. I called out. Only then did he pause, turning to look at me. His complexion was pale. Jiayan. I heard you were ill. Are you feeling better? I brought some candied fruit for you. My mother made it herself. It's better than anything you'll find outside. Try some. He took the small paper packet but didn't open it. He just looked at me and smiled faintly. Thank you. How are you feeling? I'm fine now. Suddenly, I sneezed at the worst possible moment. Sniffling, I hurriedly added, I'm really fine now. I've been well for ages. His smile held a touch of self-mockery. It seems this unlucky person truly brought misfortune upon you. When I heard you were ill, I wanted to visit, but feared my presence might make you sicker. Don't say that. I hurriedly sat beside him. What harm? My illness had nothing to do with you. It was caused by a ghost. Ghost? I nodded like a chick pecking at grain, a shameless drowned ghost. No sooner had I spoken than a shadow engulfed me, and a deep, ominous voice came from behind. What drowned ghost? I whipped my head around, nearly scared out of my wits. Shao. Your Highness the Crown Prince. What are you doing here? I was about to ask you the same. He stared at me, bending slightly. Did I just hear you mention a drowned ghost? I shook my head hastily. Nothing like that. I was just trying to amuse the third prince. Oh, I see. He nodded, then glanced at the paper parcel by Ning Wudao's side. What is this? Ning Wudao glanced at it and replied, These are candied fruits Jiayan brought me. Xiao Jingqing picked it up, examined it briefly, then without a word, tucked it into his own robe. Third brother has an upset stomach. Sweet preserves are cloying and will only spoil his appetite. Confiscated. I really wanted to slap him. I didn't dare. I held back. Oh, right. Xiao Jingqing sat down and asked me, seemingly offhandedly, You still haven't explained how you came to be here. Do you two know each other? Nervously, I took a sip of tea. Yes. He pressed further, When did you meet? How come I've never heard of this? Ning Wudao handed him a cup of tea and said, They met at the Spring Appreciation Banquet. Is your Highness particularly interested? Xiao Jingqing faltered, took the tea, and nonchalantly changed the subject. Just a passing question. By the way, third brother, you haven't finished telling me about your master. Continue. The two of them chatted away, while I sat beside them, feeling like I was sitting on pins and needles. Especially since Xiao Jingqing was seated between Ning Wudao and me, completely blocking me off. I couldn't get a single word in with Ning Wudao. After several sips of tea, I could bear it no longer. Rising, I bid Ning Wudao farewell, I should be going now. When you're better, I'll bring you some more candied fruit. With that, I started to leave. Ning Wudao stood up, I'll see you out. Seeing this, Xiao Jingqing also rose, I should be going too. He naturally slipped between Ning Wudao and me. All the way out, Ning Wudao and I didn't exchange a single word. At the doorway, as we were parting, Xiao Jingqing patted Ning Wudao's shoulder, Third brother, stay put. Take good care of yourself. Ning Wudao glanced at me, nodded, and bowed to Xiao Jingqing, Your Highness, take your time. Once I'm better, I'll go search for the Taihua jade again. Xiao Jingqing cut him off, No need. It wasn't your fault it went missing. Tomorrow I'll go to the Qingtian temple to burn incense and ask for a talisman to inquire. But Your Highness, you've always been skeptical of supernatural matters. Mother ordered me to go. If I don't, she'll give me another lecture. After speaking, he suddenly shot me a glance. Besides, sometimes one really has no choice but to believe in spirits and ghosts. That look sent a chill down my spine. An inexplicable feeling stirred within me, but it was too absurd to entertain seriously. I hastily took my leave. Back home, I quickly downed half a pot of tea to suppress the chaotic thoughts swirling in my mind. Slow down, slow down. Bao Chan snatched the teapot, pouring water into my cup as she asked, "Is the third prince better? Did they find the Taihua jade?" I shook my head. No. The crown prince said he'll go to the Qingtian temple tomorrow to seek an amulet and ask about it. The crown prince is there too? Wasn't he ill? He looked as lively as ever to me. I snatched the cup and gulped it down. Bao Chan said, "I told you not to go see the third prince, but you wouldn't listen. Drink slowly, don't spill on your clothes. If second miss sees you, she'll laugh at you." Xinjiahe? She's back? Yes, she went to pay respects to father and mother. She should be here any moment. Oh, here she comes. Bao Chan hurriedly dabbed my chin with a handkerchief. A figure emerged from the porch, clad in snow-white robes. Her face bore a serene expression, her hands folded before her abdomen, the bones clearly visible beneath the skin. She was so slender it was almost startling. It could only be Xinjiahe. "Sister." She offered a faint smile and stepped gracefully toward me. I cleared my throat awkwardly and replied, "Oh, Jiahe. When did you return?" "Just now." She drew a small paper packet from her sleeve and presented it with both hands. "After paying my respects to father and mother, I came to see you, sister. This is dried meat I made myself. Please try some when you have time." I accepted it, my eyes involuntarily lingering on her slender hands. Had the family treated her poorly? I couldn't quite recall. As a concubine's daughter, she hadn't spent much time with me, and my impression of her was faint. My strongest memory was of her burning me. The thought sent a chill down my spine. Xinjiahe curtsied, "This younger sister takes her leave." I called after her, "Why the rush? You've finally returned, can't we talk a little longer?" Surprise flickered in her eyes before she smiled. "I'm hurrying to gather mother's belongings for offering at the Qingtian temple. But if you wish to speak, I can stay a while longer." I nodded, then froze. Qingtian temple? She was going there too? Wouldn't she run into Xiao Jingqing there? Last time, I lost without understanding why. This time, I'd see how the two of them got together. Hiding my thoughts, I smiled at her. "Since you have business, I won't keep you. Go ahead." Before dawn the next day, Xinjiahe set off for Qingtian temple by carriage. Our household only had 2 carriages. If I took another one, my father would have to walk to work. Fearing he'd be late and get his bottom whipped by the emperor, I had no choice but to hire a donkey cart with Bao Chan. By the time we reached Qingtian temple, Xinjiahe had already arrived an hour earlier. Qingtian temple was bustling with worshippers, throngs of people filling the air. Unable to locate Xinjiahe, I shifted my focus to finding Xiao Jingqing. As the crown prince, his entourage was large and conspicuous, easy to spot. Sure enough, after circling the grounds, I spotted the palace guards in the plum garden. Peering inside, I indeed spotted Xiao Jingqing and Xinjiahe. They were already conversing. I instructed Bao Chan to wait nearby while I crept closer, hiding behind the nearest large incense burner to observe. "Jiahe meant no offense, Your Highness. Please forgive me." Xinjiahe's voice was soft and gentle, her eyes like autumn water, conveying a hidden message. Even I felt pity for her. I sneered inwardly. Right, this must be how Xiao Jingqing was bewitched. I turned my gaze to Xiao Jingqing. But he wore a look of indifference, his voice flat as he said, "It matters not. You may withdraw." Huh? Unmoved? Strange. Then, Jiahe takes her leave. Xinjiahe curtsied in the feminine manner, slowly rising to her feet. As she stepped forward to depart, her foot caught in her skirt, sending her tumbling toward Xiao Jingqing. What followed was surely a heroic rescue, utterly absurd. I came here to catch them in the act, yet inexplicably, I found myself clenching my fists in excitement. Xinjiahe let out a startled cry as she crashed onto the floor. In the instant she lunged forward, Xiao Jingqing had actually dodged her. This is a sacred place dedicated to the divine. Your reckless behavior is utterly inappropriate. His brow furrowed slightly, betraying his displeasure. Xinjiahe's face turned green at his words, tears nearly spilling. I'm sorry, Your Highness. Get up immediately. Xiao Jingqing glanced at her, showing no intention of helping her up. I froze. This scene. It wasn't right. Love at first sight? Secret tryst? Where had it all gone? Who dares spy here? Amidst my confusion, a thunderous shout erupted from behind. Startled, I panicked, tripped over my skirt, and fell to the ground. It was Xiao Jingqing's guard. Seeing me fall, he lunged forward to seize me. Hold! Xiao Jingqing halted him, then looked at me, startled. Xinjiayan? Xinjiahe also turned to look at me. I hastily covered my face. How utterly embarrassing. Xiao Jingqing strode over, crouching down to gently pry my hands apart. Why are you here? I forced a smile. Just passing by. He didn't press further, instead taking my hand to inspect it. Your hand's scraped. Are you hurt anywhere else? Let me see. I froze for a moment. He seemed genuinely worried, I could even feel his urgency and carefulness. But it didn't make sense. I'm fine. I quickly pulled my hand away. Unconvinced, he helped me up again. Can you stand? Let me check if your ankle's twisted. I can stand. I'm fine, really. I pushed him away and scrambled to my feet. Worried he wouldn't believe me, I hopped in place, my ankle twinged, nearly sending me tumbling again. Slow down. He reached out to steady me, but I sidestepped his hand. Xinjiahe stared at me, limping closer. Sis, what are you doing here? Didn't even tell your little sister. I steadied myself, clearing my throat with an awkward laugh, trying to sound composed. Oh, Jiahe, I just decided on a whim. Didn't tell you. Never expected to run into you all. What a coincidence. Yeah, what a coincidence. Did you come to burn incense, sister? I couldn't exactly say I'd come to catch him cheating, could I? I stole a glance at Xiao Jingqing and made up an excuse. Well, I heard Qing Tian Temple is very sacred. I came to burn incense and pray for the third prince. His illness hasn't improved, and I'm very worried. For some reason, Xiao Jingqing stiffened upon hearing this. You're praying for my third brother? Yes, I'm very concerned about the third prince's illness. You're worried about him? He seemed incredulous, clenching his jaw. What business is his illness to you? Sending candied fruit was bad enough, now you climb this high mountain to burn incense for him? His anger radiated a terrifying aura, forcing me to involuntarily step back. Your Highness, this has nothing to do with you, does it? How is it none of my business? His voice rose slightly, like a cat bristling with fury, his eyes even holding a hint of grievance. Many people had turned to look. I stared at him in confusion. Hesitating due to the crowd, he drew a breath to quell his anger, lowering his voice. Xinjiayan, you are forbidden to pray for him. On what grounds? On the grounds that... He seemed to have something to say, but the words died on his lips as he clenched his fist, on the grounds that I am the crown prince. His gaze then turned sharp as he addressed the abbot. Close the temple. Turn the visitors away. The abbot's legs buckled in fear, bewildered. Why? Just do as I say. He turned back, glaring at me petulantly. No one is to burn incense today. I stood frozen for a long moment. Xiao Jingqing. He seemed to have that particular illness. Absurd. I'd never encountered such an unreasonable person. Finally unable to contain myself, disregarding all notions of rank, I snorted coldly and turned to leave. Where are you going? Your Highness has dismissed me. Where else could I go? Xinjiayan. I didn't turn back, limping away at a brisk pace. Bao Chan came to meet me. She'd been standing far off, unaware of what had transpired, and asked cheerfully, I just saw His Royal Highness the Crown Prince helping you here. What were you two talking about? What could a human and a dog possibly discuss? Bao Chan quickly covered my mouth. I won't let you call yourself a dog. I swung my fist, as big as a clay pot. She nervously let go. I'm the dog. Woof. Bao Chan and I descended the mountain and rode back in a donkey cart. Xinjiahe came down several moments after us, yet she arrived home before me and entered the house ahead of me. "Second young miss, what a coincidence." Bao Chan greeted her casually. Xinjiahe glanced back at us. Her eyes were red-rimmed, her complexion pale. "Ah, sister. I'm feeling unwell and will retire to rest first." She curtsied and hurried away. Watching her retreating figure, my mind was in turmoil. I'd intended to catch them in the act, but things had turned out even more complicated than in my past life. What was going on with Xiao Jingqing? How could he not like Xinjiahe? In my previous life, he'd even given her his treasured jade pendant. I couldn't make sense of it. That night, I lay awake again, my thoughts circling endlessly without resolution. Just as I was finally drifting off, the night wind blew the window open. Irritated, I got up to close it. Turning around, I collided head-on with someone. "Ah!" My startled cry was muffled as a hand covered my mouth. Above me, Xiao Jingqing's voice whispered, "Shu, it's me." My heart pounded like thunder. Staring up in shock, I finally made out his face in the faint moonlight streaming through the window. So he really did climb over the wall into my house? So last time wasn't a nightmare? Keep it down. He released his grip, his expression sour as he pulled a small porcelain bottle from his robe. "You have a scrape, don't you? This is skin healing ointment from the palace. It'll help it heal faster." He brought me medicine? Shock. I froze for a moment, then raised my hand to show him. "It's already healed. The scab has formed." He fidgeted with the porcelain bottle, then asked, "Does your foot still hurt?" "It doesn't hurt anymore. I'm fine. I'm tough." "Your Highness, what brings you here so late at night?" "To see you." "I know. Today at the Qingtian Temple, you must have thought I was acting strange. But Xinjiayan, I had my reasons for getting angry." I cut him off. "What reasons?" Xiao Jingqing looked at me, then took a deep breath and said, "Because I'm in love with you." I staggered in shock, nearly tumbling to the floor. He hurriedly added, "Don't be afraid. I know this is abrupt, but if I didn't say it, I'd go mad." I could almost hear his heartbeat. In the silent night, every word he spoke rang crystal clear. "Xinjiayan, I love you. I want to marry you." This is a mess. How could Xiao Jingqing possibly like me? Why am I entangled with this jerk again? You. Are you serious? Every word, every sentence, is my true heart. He clenched his fist, as if summoning immense courage, and asked me, "Will you marry me?" "No." The words nearly burst from my lips, my heart pounding so hard it felt like it would leap out of my throat. "I already have someone I love." After a moment of frozen silence, he stared at me in astonishment, as if double-checking he hadn't misheard. "What?" My voice grew fainter. "I said I have someone I love. I've already pledged myself to him. We've made a private promise. How could you fall for someone else?" His eyes darkened instantly. He struggled to steady himself, but his status and refinement forbade any loss of composure. He braced himself against the table edge, his voice trembling as he asked, "Is it Ning Wudao?" "Yes. But you've only known each other for days. Love at first sight, deep and unwavering, what does the length of our acquaintance matter?" I dared not meet his gaze, whispering softly, "To receive His Royal Highness the Crown Prince's affection is both an honor and a source of trepidation. But you came too late. We were never meant to be." In the darkness, he fell silent, only the sound of his ragged breathing betraying his turmoil. I peered cautiously toward him. After a long while, he withdrew his hand. Standing in the night like a solitary stone, he trembled slightly as he forced a calm tone, "I'm sorry for disturbing you." I had driven Xiao Jingqing away. Yet for some reason, my mind felt hazy, filled with a strange regret and sadness. I must be losing my mind. Hesitation only invites chaos. Getting entangled with him could cost me my life. I clutched my head, forcing myself to stop thinking about him. The next morning, after breakfast, I grabbed a bag of candied fruit and headed to see Ning Wudao. A handsome face might help me forget the jerk. Or maybe I should just make a done deal of it, then I wouldn't have to dwell on it anymore. At the third prince's mansion, the maid who led me in teased as we walked. Some petty people have been spreading rumors about our prince, saying no one dares to approach him. See? This just proves them wrong. Plenty of people care about our prince. Besides me, who else? There's also a Miss Bai. You might recognize her. Alarm bells rang in my heart. Which Miss Bai? Before even reaching Ning Wudao's study, I heard a sweet, high-pitched voice. Third prince, why are you so cold? I came to visit you, you know. Bai Yuzhu. I hurried inside. Miss Bai, please behave yourself. Ning Wudao stood pale-faced before his desk, coughing into his hand. Bai Yuzhu clutched a handkerchief, eager to wipe his brow. Oh, Miss Bai, what brings you here? I stood in the doorway, coldly watching Bai Yuzhu nearly press herself against Ning Wudao. Jiayan? Ning Wudao relaxed his frown, sidestepping Bai Yuzhu to approach me. Did you come to see me? His gentle expression melted the last of my irritation. I slipped the candied fruit into his hand and whispered, it's candied fruit. The crown prince isn't here today. Let's sneak a bite. What are you sneaking? Bai Yuzhu asked, but neither of us acknowledged her. Ning Wudao took the candied fruit, his gaze lingering on my hand. You're injured? Ah, it's fine. It's already scabbed over. There's a scar. It doesn't matter. I don't mind these things. He held my hand and examined it, then suddenly said, I'll show you a trick. Bai Yuzhu, what trick? Hey! Someone pay attention to me. Ning Wudao smiled faintly, pressing his other hand over my scar as his eyes slowly closed. A gentle breeze stirred, making his silver hair flutter lightly. Moments later, he opened his eyes and released my hand. I looked down, the scar was gone. My hand looked as though it had never been injured. Was this truly something a human could do? It was beyond my comprehension. How did you do that? I stared at my hand, examining it from every angle, then rubbed it. It was truly healed. This is a secret passed down by my master at the Taoist temple. Heaven's secrets must not be revealed. Your master is so amazing. He'll be traveling to the capital in a few days. I'll take you to meet him. He looked at me with the same indulgent gaze one might reserve for a child. But as he spoke, his brow suddenly furrowed, and a coughing fit overtook him, worse than before. I hurriedly reached out to support him. What's wrong? Did that trick harm you? No. It's just that my illness hasn't fully healed yet. Why isn't it better yet? Seeing my concern, he added, old ailments that have built up over time are hard to cure. But when the weather warms up, it should improve. I nodded. Then when the weather gets better, we'll go out to bask in the sun. He smiled at me. Bai Yuzhu, who'd been ignored all along, finally couldn't take it anymore. She burst into tears, wailing, You're ignoring me. Ignoring me. I turned to see her stomping about, crying fiercely, yet not a single tear fell. I scoffed softly, why should we pay attention to someone unrelated? She stopped crying, put her hands on her hips, and retorted, why am I an outsider? If you can visit the third prince, why can't I? I felt quite smug. Of course not. Can you compare to my relationship with the third prince? Bai Yuzhu glared at me and demanded, what kind of relationship is that? Yes, what kind of relationship? Ning Wudao had never acknowledged it. I thought for a moment, then tossed the question back to Ning Wudao, you tell me. What is our relationship? I watched him, somewhat eager to hear his answer. Ning Wudao hesitated for a moment before saying, we. He looked at me, his face actually turning red. Oh my god, Ning Wudao looking embarrassed was too adorable. I cupped his hands and said, you devil, what's there to be shy about? We. Before I could finish, a thunderous voice boomed from behind us, Shinjiayan, release your younger brother-in-law's hand. I froze, as did Ning Wudao and Bai Yuzhu. Six eyes stared in shock toward the doorway. Xiao Jingqing stood there, arms crossed, gazing at us through the spring drizzle. After a long moment, I finally found my voice. Your Highness, how? How did you get here? Xin Jiayan. He called my name, his back straight, his head held high as he looked at me. Dark circles lingered beneath his eyes. He clearly hadn't slept all night. He said, I thought all night. I've come to understand. Understood what? I've understood that no matter what you say, I will never give you up to anyone else. Ning Wudao looked taken aback, turning to Xiao Jingqing. Your Highness, what are you saying? Xiao Jingqing met his gaze, his eyes cold as blades. Third brother, the hand you hold now belongs to your sister-in-law. Your Highness, please be careful with your words. 2 of my 3 souls had finally returned. I rushed down the porch, pushing Xiao Jingqing away. You must have slept poorly and are talking nonsense. Go back and catch some more sleep. After being pushed along for a bit, he steadied himself, immovable as a stone. Gripping my wrist, he declared, Xin Jiayan, I am not talking nonsense. I grew frantic. What are you doing? I told you I've already pledged myself to the third prince. What pledge? He lowered his head, his gaze intense. That means nothing. Why should I concede? What private vows or secret exchanges could compare to our formal betrothal? 3 letters, 6 rights, proclaimed to the world. Who said? My body jolted. Your Highness, what did you just say? His voice trembled slightly, as if he'd thrown caution to the wind. I know you think I'm mad, but everything I've said is true. Xin Jiayan, you are my crown princess. This bond was sealed in a past life, binding us through countless lifetimes. A bond predestined in a past life. My mind buzzed as I processed this revelation. Staring at him, my voice caught in my throat. His tone softened. You truly think I'm mad, don't you? No. I shook my head, forcing myself to steady. Finally, I uttered the words I'd always deemed absurd, Xiao Jingqing. Did you reincarnate too? He froze, his eyes brimming with 1,000 emotions. Moments later, his trembling hand clasped mine. You remember? Xin Jiayan, you remember me? This was beyond absurd. Before, I hadn't known he'd been reborn, nor did I harbor much resentment toward him. After all, in this life, he had no memory of his past deeds. But now, it was different. I quickly pulled my hand away. Xiao Jingqing, if you betrayed me in your past life, why come looking for me now? He stared at me, his eyes shifting from joy to bewilderment. When did I ever betray you? Playing dumb? I gritted my teeth. You may have forgotten, but I haven't. I can never forget how you burned me alive in your past life. How could I harm you? Xin Jiayan, if I ever harmed you, may I be struck by lightning and die a miserable death. Then why was your jade pendant in Xinjiahe's possession in that past life? Xinjiahe? He took a half step back, looking puzzled. What are you talking about? I never met her in my past life. I froze. His expression suggested utter ignorance. Was this a misunderstanding, or was he deceiving me? I couldn't decide whether to believe him, my mind spinning in chaos. I won't believe your one-sided story. If I let you deceive me again, I'm a dog. I shoved him toward the door. Get out! He grew anxious. Xin Jiayan, why won't you trust me? You've all nearly killed me. How can I trust you? Servants passing by the third prince's residence dared not approach our heated argument, watching in frightened awe. I glanced around, snatching a guard's sword nearby. If you don't leave now, I'll... He looked at the blade's tip and instead drew closer. Then kill me. We froze in the rain. The cool raindrops stung my skin like tiny needles. Xiao Jingqing leaned in, reaching to shield me, but I shoved him away. He staggered before regaining his footing, daring not to approach again. Instead, he grabbed my sleeve and wouldn't let go. Xin Jiayan, I've never done anything to harm you. In the silence, the rain intensified. Xiao Jingqing's hair was drenched, water dripping down. As the crown prince of a nation, he had never appeared so disheveled. My heart softened slightly. I quickly turned my face away, discarded the knife, and spoke without thinking, my words carrying a hint of resentment I hadn't even noticed myself. I don't care. It's all from a past life. It doesn't matter if it's untangled or not. It's not important anymore. I don't want to hear your explanations either. Anyway, I like someone else now. I'll never have anything to do with you again. I tugged at my sleeve to leave, but it wouldn't budge. Xiao Jingqing held it tight, refusing to let go. After a moment of silence, he asked, "You truly like him?" I clearly wanted to walk away, yet for some reason, I couldn't take a single step. I looked up to see his eyes already wet, glistening like shards of broken skylight, as if they might spill over at any moment. "Shen Jiayan, how dare you like him? I was here first." He stared at me like an abandoned stray cat. "I am your rightful fiancé. After learning of the Shen family's fire, I rushed into the flames to find you, heedless of everything else. I knew nothing of the things you mentioned." He took a deep breath, his gaze stubborn and sorrowful as he fixed it on me. "I did nothing wrong. How dare you love someone else?" I stared back at him, my own eyes suddenly stinging and welling up. I recalled the year I was to be married. I had embroidered my wedding gown with joy, daydreaming constantly, longing for our union. Footsteps approached. Ning Wudao held an umbrella over my head. He looked down at me, his eyes filled with complex emotions, concern and unease. "Don't catch a chill." Xiao Jingqing saw him, clenching his fists. Like a tree that had always stood straight and unyielding, he was breaking a branch off himself for the first time. "Shen Jiayan, at least give me a chance to prove myself." The wind picked up, carrying away the warmth from our bodies, sending shivers down our spines. My heart softened. I too began to suspect there was more to this story. Ning Wudao suddenly spoke up, "Your Highness, Jiayan, though I don't know what transpired between you, I suspect there must be some misunderstanding. Why not sit down and talk it out properly? Let's clear everything up. After all, Your Highness is my beloved elder brother, and Jiayan. You are my best friend. I wish for both of you to be well." Xiao Jingqing lifted his gaze and asked, "You only see her as a friend?" I also looked up at Ning Wudao. His grip on the umbrella tightened slightly as he offered a faint smile. "What else could it be? A man like me, could I possibly dare to hope for anything more?" My heart gave an inexplicable tug. On the way home, Bai Yushu grabbed my arm and asked, "Shen Jiayan, are you two in a love triangle?" I pushed her away. "What love triangle? Didn't you hear what the third prince said? He only sees me as a friend." "Then do you still like him? And what about the crown prince? Do you like him?" Her question caught me off guard. Seeing my silence, she seemed pleased. "So you don't like either of them, right?" My instinct to banter with her kicked in. "Ha! Can't I like both?" She glared at me. "How could you possibly like two? Why not? I'm just committing the same mistake every woman in the world makes." She stared at me in shock, as if she just grasped something profound. At the third prince's mansion, I pulled Xiao Jingqing aside from the others. We sat down and carefully pieced together the events. All the lingering doubts ultimately pointed to Shenjiahe. But this lifetime's Shenjiahe knew nothing. Though I refused to give up, my attempts to probe him all ended in failure. Unraveling the past life secrets wasn't so simple, and the matter soon reached an impasse. Both Xiao Jingqing and I were thoroughly exasperated. Several days later, the weather improved. Remembering Ning Wudao's illness, I went to find him for some sun exposure. After all, it was our prior arrangement. The mere mention of Ning Wudao's name made Xiao Jingqing tense up. He began visiting the third prince's residence daily, ostensibly to care for his younger brother. One Xiao Jingqing was already enough of a nuisance, but then Bai Yushu came along to stir things up. Today she'd stuff handkerchiefs into Ning Wudao's hands, tomorrow she'd deliver sachets to Xiao Jingqing, chasing them around until they had to hide. I asked her, "Bai Yushu, what are you meddling in?" She declared with righteous indignation, "I'm not meddling. I'm just bravely pursuing love." "But you can't chase both at once. Which one do you actually like?" "Hard to say. You can't possibly like both, can you?" She rolled her eyes. "So what? I'm just committing the same mistake every woman in the world makes." After over half a month of this chaotic mess, the master Ning Wudao had mentioned arrived and took up residence at the Qingtian temple. I wanted to see his master perform magic tricks, so upon hearing the news, I rushed over without delay to join the crowd. Halfway there, the carriage was suddenly stopped. Just as I lifted the curtain to ask, a foot stepped inside, followed by Xiao Jingqing's head. He climbed into the carriage, sat down beside me with perfect composure, and asked, "Where are you headed?" I glared at him. "What are you doing? Hitching a ride? Do you even know where I'm headed?" "Oh, anywhere is fine. I've wrapped up my official duties for the day and have plenty of time. You decide. You're not part of my plans. Now I am." His gaze fell on the package in my hands. He snatched it away, his tone tinged with irritation. "Candied fruit again? I told you his stomach is weak. You're not allowed to sneak him treats. Confiscated." "Xiao Jingqing, you're being unreasonable." "How am I being unreasonable? I'm only concerned about third brother's health." With that, he lifted the curtain and asked the driver, "Why aren't we moving?" The driver replied, "The road's blocked up ahead." I leaned out to look and saw a procession blocking the way. Xiao Jingqing recognized them and leapt down to approach. The rider dismounted immediately to pay respects, stammering frantically. Xiao Jingqing frowned, his displeasure deepening. He turned back to me, "Shinjiayan, I have matters to attend to. Will you wait for me?" "Why should I wait for you?" "You." He gritted his teeth. "Well, then, drive safely. Give me back my candied fruit." "No way." After shaking off Xiao Jingqing and arriving at the Qingtian temple, I discovered I wasn't the first to arrive. Bai Yuzhu had actually been there for quite some time. Standing beside Ning Wudao, she grinned triumphantly at me. "Oh, Shinjiayan, I thought you left before me? What happened? Did your old clunker break down? Should have said so, I could have given you a ride. My place has a brand new car with so many people around." I held my tongue and ignored her. Seeing my silence, she gritted her teeth in frustration. Master Ning Wudao's teacher appeared to be in his 60s or 70s, clad in a gray Taoist robe, radiating an ethereal, otherworldly aura. I dared not be presumptuous. After respectfully offering 2 cups of tea, I sat down and remained silent, not daring to mention that I'd come today hoping to see him perform magic tricks. Bai Yuzhu, however, was quite the chatterbox, babbling on and on. When she suddenly remembered Xiao Jingqing, she asked if only His Royal Highness the Crown Prince were here. He lost some Taihua jade recently and couldn't find it anywhere. We should have asked Master Ning to cast a divination for him. Ning Wudao recalled this and bowed respectfully. "Speaking of which, your highness's lost jade is connected to my disciple. It's an heirloom passed down by our ancestors, of great importance. Might the master perhaps?" "I've known all along." Wanning stroked his beard and said, "This object is far away in the heavens, yet close at hand." Master Ning was momentarily taken aback. How coincidental! When His Highness the Crown Prince last visited Qingtian Temple to draw an oracle about the jade, he was also told it was far away in the sky, yet close at hand. Yet despite searching for many days, it remained unfound. There's no need to search. It was never lost. When the time comes for it to appear, it will naturally surface. These words seemed deeply meaningful. We exchanged glances but dared not ask further. A sudden, piercing sound filled the room, causing everyone to cover their ears. A young monk rushed out from the inner chamber, clutching a glass mirror. "Master! The sacred mirror is ringing again!" he exclaimed urgently. All eyes turned to the mirror. Yet, the moment we gazed upon it, the sound abruptly ceased. The young monk exclaimed in surprise, "Huh? That's strange. It rang for nearly half an hour yesterday." Bai Yuzhu asked, "Isn't this just a small, broken mirror?" Wanning heard this and couldn't help but laugh. "This is no ordinary broken mirror. It is called the Taihua Treasure Mirror, a gift from the immortals. It can reveal past lives, foretell the fortune of this life, and calculate the blessings of future lives." Hearing this, I quickly latched onto the crucial part. It can see past lives and future lives? Exactly. Wu Ning nodded. The mirror has been covered in dust for too long. Lately, it's been crying out frequently. Perhaps it's time for it to see the light of day. He glanced at us and added, "You three seem destined to see it. Why not give it a try?" "Yes, yes, yes." Bayushu and I blurted out almost simultaneously. I'd been agonizing over how to ask him to borrow the mirror. If it was truly this magical, then I could see everything that happened in my past life. "Very well, take turns." He took the crystal mirror, his expression turning serious as he looked at the three of us. "What you see in this mirror is the secret of heaven. Keep it in your hearts, but never tell others. Above all, do not defy the will of heaven, for doing so will bring disaster. Remember this well." With that, he handed the mirror to me. "But how do I use it?" I asked. "Don't worry. It knows what you wish to see." I nodded, hesitantly glancing at the mirror as tension began to build within me. I feared it might be useless, leaving me with false hope, yet I also dreaded the truth being too cruel for me to bear. Only then did I realize how desperately I wished Xiao Jingqing had never deceived me. To use the mirror, I naturally dismissed the two uninvolved parties, Ning Wudao and Bayushu. After much hesitation, I finally heeded Ning's words and held the mirror in my hands. The mirror had reflected my own face, but the moment I held it, it suddenly went dark. Moments later, the mirror burst forth with a blinding radiance of golden light. My eyes stung painfully, forcing me to shut them tight. Then, scene after scene poured through the golden light into my mind, unfolding in a bizarre manner. I saw myself at 12 or 13, fighting with Bayushu by the lake. I saw Xiao Jingqing watching me from afar, and Shenjiahe stealing glances at Xiao Jingqing. Years later, I saw a jade pendant fall into the grass, and Shenjiahe's eyes filled with jealousy as she picked it up. In the chaos, Shenjiahe's ghostly voice echoed relentlessly, "Why? Why does he love Shenjiayan? Why doesn't he even glance at me? I won't accept this. I'll destroy them." I stared in shock at the images flooding my mind, nearly forgetting to breathe. So this was the truth, it was that simple. No hidden schemes. In my past life, Xiao Jingqing had restrained himself, adhering strictly to propriety. He never met with me privately before our marriage, inadvertently giving Shenjiahe an opening. He never wronged me. His affection had always been concealed beneath the veneer of etiquette. Suddenly, I felt so grateful that in this life, he had pursued me. Thankfully, my eyes were closed. Otherwise, I'd probably be crying uncontrollably by now. After I stepped outside, Bayushu kept asking me, "What did you see?" I opened my mouth but couldn't form coherent words. Everything that had just happened felt like a dream, a beautiful dream beyond description. Bayushu stamped her foot and dashed inside, muttering, "Humph. I want to see it too. And I won't tell you afterward either." She emerged in a fluster not long after, her expression strange, her lower lip bitten until it was pale and bloodless. Ning Wudao asked us, "What exactly did you see?" Bayushu's face was deathly pale as she shook her head frantically. Ning Wudao looked at us, receiving no answer, and walked into the room himself. Soon after, a low gasp echoed from within, followed by a sharp, crisp shattering sound. Bayushu and I rushed to push open the door. Ning Wudao stood in the center of the room, his face deathly pale. The glass mirror lay shattered on the floor, broken into 7 or 8 pieces. "Third Prince, what's wrong?" After a long moment, he forced himself to steady his voice, "Nothing." His voice still trembled slightly, and panic nearly spilled from his eyes. Even encountering a ghost in the dead of night wouldn't have made him look like this. I glanced at the shards on the floor, then looked at Ning Wuding. What do we do now that the treasure mirror is broken?" Ning Wuding smiled. "Where is it broken? To me, it seems complete only now." I gasped in shock. The old man had gone blind. "Let's go." Before I could recover, Ning Wudao seized my wrist and pulled me toward the exit. His grip was tight, as if I might vanish the moment he loosened it. I hurriedly asked, "What's wrong with you?" He remained silent until we were far outside, then his body trembled slightly as he asked me, "Jiayan, who am I?" Had his mind snapped? "You're Ning Wudao, the third prince." "Yes, I am Ning Wudao." He closed his eyes, as if suppressing some dreadful thing. "What's wrong? What did you see?" The words left my mouth before I could stop them. How could I ask such a foolish question? Ningwu had already said what he saw must remain secret. Ningwu Dao didn't answer. Cold sweat beaded on his forehead. After a long moment, he opened his eyes and said, "Yes, I am Ningwu Dao, the third prince. All of this is real." His words caught me off guard. Why are you suddenly saying this? What's real? In short, it's all real. He gritted his teeth, struggling to steady himself. Was it just my imagination, or did he seem terrified, repeating over and over that it was all real? What exactly had he and Baiyushu seen? A vague unease settled in my heart. I couldn't shake the feeling that something terribly, terribly bad was about to happen. That night, after seeing the truth in the treasure mirror, Xiao Jingqing climbed over the wall into my house again. This time, I merely burrowed deeper into my blankets, not chasing him away. He sat down beside my bed and gently patted my shoulder. "Xinjiayan, why aren't you speaking?" I curled inward. "What do you want?" "Nothing." He seemed somewhat melancholy. "Did you have fun today?" I didn't. Today, my uncle forced me to choose a consort. My head feels like it's splitting. I don't want to marry anyone else. I only want to be with you. Oh. He looked surprised. "Why aren't you yelling at me today?" I rolled over, peeking out with just my eyes showing. "Did you come here just to get yelled at? You're not even like Xinjiayan if you don't curse." I chuckled softly. "Xiao Jingqing, I'll never scold you again." "No, hearing you say that makes me kinda scared." "Xiao Jingqing, I mean it. I won't scold you anymore. Today, I saw something in the clear sky." Suddenly, I remembered Wanning's words, speaking it aloud would bring disaster. But could I not even tell Xiao Jingqing? He pressed me. "What did you see?" I hesitated, then held my tongue, kicking him instead. "None of your business. Breaking into a woman's chamber at midnight, have you no shame?" After a moment's shock, he exhaled in relief. "Xinjiayan cursing is still the most normal version of you." Though I couldn't speak of the mirror's events, I had to act. Like getting rid of Xinjiahe. Seeing her true colors in the mirror had filled me with revulsion. Though she hadn't done anything yet in this life, her core was rotten. Keeping her around would only bring trouble, better to send her far away. The next day, I sought out Mother and discussed sending Xinjiahe to her maternal grandmother's home in Hangzhou under the pretext of arranging a marriage. Mother never cared for Xinjiahe, so she raised no objections. When Xinjiahe heard the news, she bit her lip, tears welling in her eyes. "Are you and Mother driving me out?" I smiled. "What nonsense. We only want what's best for you. Without your stepmother, marrying young and finding a husband who cherishes you is far better than enduring the scorn of others in the capital. Even if you must send me away, you should at least ask Father first." I cut her off. "Don't worry. Father has 7 or 8 daughters. He won't remember who you are." Her voice caught, and she fought hard to keep her tears from falling. "We've already sent word to Hangzhou. Pack your things and leave. I'll see you off myself." Though she was unwilling, she had no choice but to swallow her pride. "Yes, thank you, sister." "Thank you, Mother." 3 days later, Xinjiahe left the capital. I had intended to put on a show of seeing her off, but the weather turned stiflingly hot. I developed heat rash on my face, making it inconvenient to be seen, so I had to abandon the idea. The heat rash on my face wasn't severe. The physician I consulted said applying powdered fine pearls would hasten recovery. Somehow, word of this spread. That very afternoon, Xiao Jingqing scaled the wall and entered my home. "Xiao Jingqing, my house has a large gate. Couldn't you see it?" Xiao Jingqing sighed helplessly. "I'm used to it." He then handed me an exquisite box. "These are the finest pearls tribute by the Fan Kingdom. Take them." I opened it to look inside, then pushed it back at him. "I can't accept such a precious gift." "Why not? What's mine is yours." My face flushed crimson. "What nonsense. How shameless. Now leave immediately." Then I snatched the box back. "Humph, it's mine." He chuckled softly. "Why do you always shoo me away?" I must depart for Jiangnan early tomorrow morning. Who knows when I'll return? Shouldn't you take this chance to look at me while you still can? I don't want to look at you. Then will you come see me off tomorrow? No. Just then, the maid waiting at the door suddenly pushed it open. Miss, the third prince is here to see you. Ah. She had never seen Xiao Jingqing before and was so startled she stumbled backward, tumbling to the floor. Xiao Jingqing maintained a proper demeanor in front of outsiders. He composed his expression and said solemnly, "Out." The maid glanced at me. Seeing my nod, she darted out swiftly. No sooner had she left than Ning Wudao followed, carrying a box. He looked at Xiao Jingqing and me, offering a faint smile. Seems I've arrived at an inopportune moment. That smile held an inexplicable chill. Ever since he'd seen the treasure mirror last time, he'd been acting strangely. His usual gentle demeanor had vanished, replaced by a deep, dark look in his eyes, as if he were weighed down by heavy thoughts. No, you've come at just the right time, I said with an awkward laugh, asking him, "Third prince, did you help me find pearls too?" Yes. Ning Wudao shot Xiao Jingqing a glance before striding over. Xiao Jingqing eyed the box in his hand and grumbled, "Shenjiayan, you already took my pearl. You can't take his too." Hearing this, Ning Wudao tightened his grip on the box without showing it. His expression remained calm, yet for some reason, I felt a chilling aura emanating from him, almost frightening. I quickly interrupted Xiao Jingqing, "Why? What kind of logic is that?" Xiao Jingqing looked at me and said, "There's no logic to it. The bottom line is, you can only take one person's." He fixed his gaze on me and demanded, "Shenjiayan, whose do you want?" Hearing this, Ning Wudao also lifted his eyes to look at me. It was the first time I'd seen such intense possessiveness in his eyes. Fearing they might fight, I swallowed hard and asked, "Can't I have both?" Both pairs of eyes turned icy. Just then, a clatter echoed from the doorway as countless pearls scattered across the floor. I looked up to see Bai Yuzhu standing amidst the pearl pile. Like Ning Wudao, Bai Yuzhu had become strangely restless since seeing the treasure mirror last time. She kept showing up at my place for no reason. She just left this morning, and now she was back. She looked at us and suddenly smiled. I'm afraid I've come at an inopportune moment. Had I known they were coming, I wouldn't have come at all. I quickly pulled her over. What nonsense! Come help me pound these pearls. You three, get down on your knees and pound them for me. That day's dispute ended with all four of us pounding until our hands were blistered. When I sent them out, the servants were stunned. Only 2 had entered, so how could 3 be leaving? But no one dared to ask. Before Ning Wudao left, he suddenly turned back and asked me, "Jiayan, if the crown prince were to ask for your hand in marriage, would you accept?" His question stunned me. I stammered, I probably wouldn't. As if he'd seen right through me, he gave a faint, bitter smile. I understand. Understand what? Before I could ask more, he'd already turned and walked away. That night, Bai Yuzhu refused to go home, insisting on sleeping with me and hogging most of the quilt. I couldn't take it anymore and asked her, "Isn't your family's bed softer than mine?" She yawned and said, "Just experiencing the hardships of a poor family, you know." Well. Our fathers both draw the same salary, yet she's suddenly become superior. Shenjiayan, now that your face is ruined, does that mean you can't get married? I rolled my eyes. I have pimples, not leprosy. She snorted. Still ruined. No one will want you. Oh well, then the crown prince and third prince are all mine. Fine, they're all yours. Just give me some of the quilt. No way. Shenjiayan, are you going to see off Xiao Jingqing tomorrow? How did you know? Of course I know. Don't I know you? Wake me up tomorrow morning. I'm coming with you. Bai Yuzhu, why have you been following me everywhere lately? She rolled over, half asleep. Who's following you? I'm just worried you'll steal my man. Remember to wake me up tomorrow. Like I'd ever wake her. The next morning, Bai Yuzhu slept like a log. I tiptoed out of bed, dashed to Bao Chan's room to freshen up, then slipped away. Today's coachman was different. When Bao Chan inquired, he chuckled. My uncle was the original driver, but he's fallen ill. I'm filling in for him today. Rest assured, miss, the ride will be smooth, no jostling for you. His cheerful smile was quite endearing. Looking closer, he bore a striking resemblance to the original driver, 6 or 7 parts alike. I pulled out half a coin to tip him. After boarding the carriage, Bao Chan glanced back at the house with lingering concern. Miss, are we really not calling Miss Bai? She came by the day before yesterday and was furious when she couldn't find you. Did she hit you? Bao Chan touched her ear. Not exactly, but she did tug my ear. She never used to be so eager to find you. I don't know what's gotten into her lately. Never mind her. We'll go our own way. As we spoke, the carriage began its steady roll, so smooth it lulled me into drowsiness. A while later, I stirred groggily and sensed something was terribly wrong. It was eerily quiet. Though it was morning, the road to the city gate shouldn't be this still. I hastily lifted the curtain to look out. The street scene was unfamiliar, just rows of dilapidated houses. I had no idea where we were. Where is this? Stop the carriage! The driver turned back, smiling. Miss, we're taking a shortcut. His smile felt unnerving. A sense of dread washed over me. I don't want any shortcuts. Stop now! The driver instantly dropped his smile and lashed the whip hard. The horses, stung by the pain, bolted forward. Bao Chan and I were thrown to the floor, our eyes spinning with dizziness. Only then did Bao Chan come to her senses. Wiping away drool, she cried, Miss. An earthquake! An earthquake! Bao Chan, get a grip! The wind whipped open the carriage curtain. No houses remained outside, instead, trees grew thicker. In desperation, I gritted my teeth and declared, jump. Bao Chan, still drowsy, didn't leap. But I couldn't wait for her. Better for me to run back for help than for both of us to be taken. I plunged out, rolled several times on the ground, scrambled up, and limped back toward the carriage. Fortunately, a galloping carriage couldn't stop easily. By the time the driver reacted, I'd already darted into the woods. My leg was likely broken, I stumbled and fell after every few steps. Just as I was about to break free, 2 figures suddenly blocked my path. I stared in shock. The one in plain white robes at the front was Shinjiahe, clutching a woodcutting knife. Behind her stood a Taoist priest in black robes, wearing a conical hat. What was Shinjiahe doing here? And why was she with a Taoist priest? I stopped abruptly, backing away as if seeing a ghost. Shinjiahe looked at me, her smile twisted into a grimace. Still want to run? Leaning against a tree, I asked her in shock, you didn't leave? I left. Then I came back. She gripped the knife handle and moved closer. Because I couldn't accept it. I stared at the blade's tip and took another step back. What are you doing? What do you think I'm doing? Her face contorted. I just don't understand, how come you could win his heart so easily? How come he never even glanced at me? Such familiar words. In this lifetime, she hadn't changed a bit. Shinjiayan, I never wanted to kill you. Never. You forced my hand. With that, she suddenly swung the blade at me. Her technique was clumsy, but each strike carried lethal force. The Taoist priest behind us seemed startled, gasping, don't kill her. But Shinjiahe was completely mad, only knowing to chase and slash at me. If I didn't run, I'd be chopped to pieces. I turned and ran for my life, screaming for help. But I hadn't gone far when my injured leg gave out, and I fell to the ground. Just as Shinjiahe was about to catch up, someone suddenly burst out from the side and yanked me up. Shinjiayan, why didn't you call me this morning? I froze. Bai Yuzhu? You rotten bastard. Told you to leave me behind. Karma's a bitch, huh? She cursed while grabbing my hand, pulling me through the bushes toward where she'd come from. But 2 unarmed people couldn't outrun Shinjiahe in a frenzy. She closed in fast. Fearing neither of us would survive, I shoved Bai Yuzhu away. Leave me! Run! Her pupils contracted. Shinjiayan, neither of you will escape. Xinjiahe gripped the knife handle with both hands and swung it down viciously. I had already closed my eyes, waiting for death. But just before the blade fell, my body was violently shoved, sending me crashing far away, dodging the strike. Immediately after, I heard a horrifying sound. Opening my eyes, I saw Baiyuju lying on the ground, blood gushing from her back, quickly soaking through her white gauze dress. My mind went blank for a few seconds, and I almost forgot Xinjiahe was there. Baiyuju, what are you doing? Her fingernails dug into the dirt. She opened her mouth but was too pained to speak. You two really are sisters to the core. Xinjiahe, her hands covered in blood and eyes bloodshot, raised her knife toward Baiyuju. No! Xinjiahe, don't kill her. It's my fault, don't hurt her. My whole body trembled as I crawled instinctively to shield Baiyuju with my body. Xinjiahe's knife hovered for a moment but didn't come down. I looked up and saw her face streaked with tears. Xinjiayan, I'm your sister. You've never been kind to me, yet you'd risk your life to protect someone else. Your heart is so biased. She laughed bitterly at herself. Never mind. I'm used to it. I'm just a concubine's daughter. No one protects me. If I want anything, I have to fight for it myself. No one will give it to me. The Taoist priest had followed us unnoticed. His voice was hoarse and cold, thick with warning. Finished your madness? I told you, no killing. Xinjiahe glanced back at him, wiped her tears with a look of stubborn refusal, then turned to me. Xinjiayan, I can spare you both. But you must promise me one thing. Hearing she was willing to spare us, I nodded hastily. I agree. Name it. You must tell Xiao Jingqing yourself that you despise him. Make him give up hope. And never see him again. Though I'd expected this, my heart felt like it had been struck by a hammer, pounding wildly. But even then, he won't love you. I have my ways. Will you agree? I had no choice. I agree, as long as you let us go. She shot me a cold glance, sheathed her blade, and retreated into the woods. After 2 steps, she turned back with a warning. Oh, and don't even think about trying anything. That blade is coated in a deadly poison. If you try any tricks, just watch Baiyuju slowly turn into a desiccated corpse. Understood. Only after confirming she was gone did I hoist Baiyuju onto my back and crawl on my knees toward the forest's edge. Lying weakly against my back, Baiyuju murmured, Xinjiayan, who asked you to meddle? I clenched my jaw to stifle the lump in my throat. Don't speak. She smiled faintly. I insist on speaking. Do you know what I saw in the treasure mirror that day? She gasped for breath, her words coming in fits and starts. I saw you get cut down by a single blade. I was terrified. How could that be? Ever since I was little, my only dream was to compete with you for a lifetime, to fight you for a lifetime. If you died like that, who would I compete with? So I thought, if I stayed by your side all the time, nothing bad would happen, right? Who knew you'd sneak off today? She paused again, her voice fading, but it's fine. If I die now, it'll count as competing with you my whole life. My chest ached, my vision blurred so I couldn't see the path. I snapped, shut up, Baiyuju. You won't die. Stop talking. She smiled, her words barely more than breaths. I won again this time. You cried, but I didn't. And your dress today wasn't as pretty as mine. Her hand fell limply to her side. I carried Baiyuju on my back for a long time until some beggars spotted us and carried us to the clinic. When I woke, the beggars were gone. Baiyuju lay beside me, her lips darkened blue, still unconscious. Upon receiving the news, the Shen and Bai families hurriedly brought us back. That day, the people of both households wept until their eyes were swollen. The wound on Baiyuju's back wasn't fatal, but the poison was extremely potent. Within half a day, nearly half her hair had turned white. Lord Bai summoned the finest physician in the capital. The doctor shook his head repeatedly, declaring it a rare poison beyond his ability to treat. To save Baiyuju, the only hope truly lay in Xinjiahe's antidote. Yet I couldn't tell anyone about this matter until Ning Wudao heard news of my injury and rushed over. Seeing him, I hurriedly dismissed those around me and rambled incoherently about the day's events. My mind was a chaotic jumble of unanswered questions. I grabbed his arm and demanded, how did she manage to return? Who's helping her? So many people were watching her. Ning Wudao soothed me, perhaps there are things we simply couldn't see. Don't worry, we'll get to the bottom of this. And that Taoist priest, I never knew Xinjiahe knew any Taoist priest. He seemed to appear out of thin air. What's his background? Ning Wudao stiffened, his gaze darting away for a moment before returning to normal before I could notice. He held my hand and said, don't worry, we'll figure it all out. My heart pounded as I nodded frantically. After a moment, I pulled back the covers to get out of bed. They must still be in the city. I remember their faces. I'll sketch them and send someone to search discreetly. Jiayan, don't move around. Your leg is still injured. Ning Wudao tried to stop me, but my mind was consumed with catching Xinjiahe. I rushed to find paper and ink without a second thought. In the end, he could only support me to the desk and grind ink for me. He gazed at me for a long time before asking, Jiayan, what if we can't find them? I faltered. If we couldn't find them, perhaps I really would have to heed Xinjiahe's words and sever ties with Xiao Jingqing once and for all. But I squeezed the brush in my hand and lowered my head to continue drawing. I don't know. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Ning Wudao took the portrait and searched the entire city for 2 days, yet found neither of them. Instead, he recovered Bao Chan, who had been missing for 2 days. She hadn't been harmed, just fainted from prolonged hunger. On the night she was found, I received a hairpin, Xinjiahe's hairpin. This was urging me. Ning Wudao held the hairpin, his gaze shrouded in the flickering candlelight. Xinjiahe moves like a ghost, aided by powerful allies. Finding her is nearly impossible. Besides, Miss Bai's condition can't wait. To save her now, we might have to comply with Xinjiahe's demands first. I held Bai Yushu's icy cold hand, saying nothing. You must make a choice. If you keep delaying, Miss Bai might truly not survive. He looked at me, paused, then suddenly asked, is the Crown Prince more important to you than Miss Bai's life? Of course not. Then why do you keep hesitating? I choked, unable to meet his gaze, and looked down at the unconscious Bai Yushu. After a moment's silence, I suddenly recalled Ning Wudao erasing the scar on my hand. Grasping his arm urgently, I pleaded, you can perform magic, can't you? Please save Yushu, I beg you. He paused, startled. I can alleviate her symptoms, but to truly counter the poison, we'll need the antidote. Even if it just gives her a few more days, that's better than nothing. There's always hope we'll find the antidote. He looked at me silently for a few breaths before finally saying, do you know that saving her would cost me half my lifespan? I gasped. It would cost you your lifespan? Yes. Then, could I trade my life for hers? No. Then, what about trading mine for yours? I don't want your life. Ning Wudao gazed at me and spoke slowly, Jiayan, I can save her, but I have one condition. My heart sank instantly. I dreaded it when people set conditions with me, because every time I ended up losing something. Hesitantly, I asked, speak. I want you to marry me. He fixed his gaze on me, his words ringing out with unwavering certainty. As his words fell, the previously clear night sky suddenly erupted with thunderclaps. He glanced out the window at the raging storm, his eyes brimming with an eerie intensity, as if battling something. Clenching his fist, he turned back to me, feigning calmness as he asked, are you willing? This was the first time I'd seen his relentless side. Didn't you once say I was only a friend to you? Before, I simply refused to compete. But now, I want to try. Looking at Ning Wudao before me, he seemed increasingly unfamiliar, as if he were no longer the same person from before. Yet I seemed to have no other choice. After a long pause, I nodded. All right. As long as you save her, I'll do anything you ask. Xiao Jingqing's face appeared before my eyes, blurred by the sound of the rain. My heart clenched, as if pierced by something. 2 months ago, I never would have imagined marrying Ning Wudao would be such a painful choice. I will keep her alive. He smiled with a sense of relief. After that night, the weather never cleared again. Torrential rain poured down for over half a month, as if the sky itself were collapsing. I wonder if the Jiangnan region experiences such torrential rains. By the time Xiao Jingqing returns, everything will be settled, I suppose. I dare not imagine how he will feel upon learning the truth. The more I think about it, the more agonizing it becomes. I can only force myself to forget him. Perhaps fearing complications, Ning Wudao rushed the wedding arrangements. Others whispered it seemed like a hasty marriage to ward off misfortune. My wedding gown was rushed by a dozen embroiderers. By the time it was finished, only 3 days remained until the ceremony. When I tried on the bodice, Ning Wudao gazed at me tenderly and said, "It fits perfectly, Jiayan. You will be the most beautiful bride in the world." I couldn't muster a smile. The relentless rain had left the fabric musty, its scent clinging to me like a suffocating weight. After handing the gown to Bao Chan for safekeeping, I descended the stairs expressionless. Ning Wudao instinctively held an umbrella over me, their demeanor carrying a genuine air of deep affection. Just as we were about to step outside, the street nearby suddenly echoed with the urgent clatter of hooves and waves of startled cries from passers-by. I glanced up and froze in place. He was supposed to be in Jiangnan. I hadn't expected him to return so quickly. "Xin Jiayan." He leaped from his horse, standing before me soaked to the bone, his eyes filled with urgency and disbelief. Yet when he opened his mouth, he seemed unsure how to ask. After a long moment, he finally managed, "This is fake, right? They're lying to me, aren't they?" I looked into his eyes, wet with something indistinguishable, rain or tears. My heart felt stabbed again. Clutching my palm, I took a deep breath and said, "What are you talking about, Your Highness? I don't understand. Why did you marry him?" I couldn't meet his gaze, shifting my eyes to the water dripping from the eaves. "Because I love him, of course. You've always known that." "No, you're lying. Look me in the eyes." As he lunged forward, Ning Wudao stepped in front of him, his eyes flashing with unmasked murderous intent. "Your Highness, please restrain yourself. Jiayan is now my fiancé." Xiao Jingqing faltered, freezing in place. After a few breaths of silence, he asked me, "Xin Jiayan, has something happened?" "No." "Then why didn't you wait for me?" His tone grew increasingly sorrowful. "Is it because you still don't trust me? You still think I've wronged you?" "It's not because of that," I blurted out. He looked at me, a flicker of hope igniting in his eyes. I suddenly realized I'd overreacted and quickly swallowed the rest of my words. "Anyway, it has nothing to do with that. I just hate you. Who I marry has nothing to do with you. Don't come looking for me again." In the downpour, his gaze dimmed. "You hate me?" My heart ached terribly, yet I could only tell him in a cold tone, "I hate you intensely." He stared at me for a long time, gave a bitter smile, said nothing more, and turned to walk into the rain. His steps were slightly unsteady. This was the first time I'd ever seen Xiao Jingqing lose his composure in front of others. For 3 days, Xiao Jingqing truly never sought me out again. The night before the wedding, I sat by Yushu's bedside, holding her hand as we drank. Ning Wudao had treated her with Taoist arts. Now, aside from her unconscious state, she was indistinguishable from any other person, even her once gray hair had turned black again. She even looked a bit prettier. It was infuriating. "By Yushu, when you wake up, you really ought to kowtow to me. I sold myself to save you." "That's not right. You saved me too." "Then how about this, you kowtow to me, and I'll kowtow to you. Deal?" I was drunk, and lay down beside her, dazed. What about Xiao Jingqing? He must be heartbroken. "Xinjiahe, where are you?" "I've already sent Xiao Jingqing away." "Give me the antidote." That night, Bao Chan carried me back. The next morning, while getting dressed, I was still half asleep, letting the maids and servants dress me like a doll. After days of torrential rain, the wedding day dawned unexpectedly clear, hard to say if it was a blessing or a curse. As the wedding procession arrived, I lifted my fan to shield my face and stepped out in small, measured strides. After just a few paces, I heard Bao Chan whisper, What's wrong with the sun? Hearing this, I lifted my head and squinted into the light. The sun seemed to be missing a corner. Could this be what the books call a solar eclipse? I wasn't alone, many others looked up, murmuring among themselves. Finally, someone remembered what day it was and hurriedly urged, the bride must depart. I lowered my head in a daze, shielding my face once more as I walked onward. For some reason, I felt inexplicably uneasy. Stepping outside, I lowered my fan slightly and glanced up. Ning Wudao, clad in bright red wedding robes, sat astride his horse. Spotting me, a hint of amusement flickered in his eyes. The sky grew dimmer. Amidst the crowd, a man murmured, "Oh dear, the sun's been bitten off in such a big chunk. This. Could it be inauspicious?" Ning Wudao's expression abruptly hardened. He glanced skyward, his grip on the reins tightening involuntarily. He turned to the man who had spoken and snapped, "What nonsense are you spouting? Drag him away." His sudden fury startled everyone present. Heads bowed in silence, no one dared utter a word. He dismounted and approached me, forcing himself to steady his composure. "Madam, let's go." I watched his outstretched hand, hesitated, and did not take it. He suddenly seemed afraid and asked, "What's wrong?" "Nothing." I shook my head and walked expressionlessly toward the bridal sedan chair. The man who had spoken out of turn was being held down, screaming incessantly. I couldn't help but glance sideways. That glance sent a chill down my spine. For in the crowd of onlookers, I saw him, the Taoist priest. He had appeared. Our eyes met for a moment before he turned and fled. "Stop!" My heart pounded like a drum. I tossed aside my fan and gave chase. Bao Chan cried out urgently, "Miss! Miss!" The crowd instantly descended into chaos. Ning Wudao hurried after me, calling, "Jiayan." I paid no heed to the turmoil behind me, focused only on pursuing the Taoist priest. Shen Jiaohe's poison must have come from him. If I caught him, I'd have the antidote. After running just a few steps, Ning Wudao caught up, grabbed my hand, and asked, "What's wrong, Jiayan?" I gasped, "That Taoist priest. I saw him." His hand froze at my words. How could that be? He seemed so strange. Doubt crept into my mind. I shoved him away and sprinted toward the direction the Taoist had vanished. Whether it was the deepening twilight or the alley's darkness, the Taoist disappeared the moment he darted inside. I searched every corner, but he was nowhere to be found. Ning Wudao caught up, grabbing my hand. "Let's go back, Jiayan. You must have seen wrong. How could that Taoist still be?" He paused, swallowing the rest of his words before rephrasing, "How could that Taoist have come out on his own?" A cold chuckle suddenly echoed from the depths of the alley. "Not quite, is it?" That voice belonged to Xiao Jingqing. Turning to look, I saw him emerge from the corner, his gaze fixed on Ning Wudao. "Third brother," he said, "you were about to say that the Taoist couldn't possibly still be alive, correct?" Ning Wudao's grip suddenly loosened. "What does your highness mean by this?" "What do I mean?" Xiao Jingqing waved his hand, and several black-clad men escorted the Taoist priest out. The Taoist, spotting Ning Wudao, blurted out, "Your highness. It was all Third Prince's orders. He made me bring Shen Jiahe here and deceive her into believing I possessed immortal arts. He promised to perform a ritual to make her the Crown Princess if she could sever the bond between Miss Shen and your highness. So this Taoist was acting on Ning Wudao's orders?" I stared at Ning Wudao in shock. "Shut your mouth. How dare you slander a royal relative?" Panic flashed in Ning Wudao's eyes. He lunged forward, his posture threatening to strangle the man. Xiao Jingqing drew his sword to block him, his expression already carrying the weight of imperial authority. "Third brother, such urgency, could it be he's hit the mark?" Ning Wudao paled. I clenched my fists and demanded, "Is what he said true? Did you orchestrate all of this?" His body trembled slightly as he shook his head. "No, Jiayan. I didn't do such a thing. Let's go back and get married, okay?" As he spoke, a strange wind stirred the air, and the sky darkened considerably, the sun now missing a large chunk. Xiao Jingqing said, "You didn't?" Then perhaps we should revisit the female corpse in your backyard pond? How could you? So you've been investigating me all these days. Ning Wudao closed his eyes in despair. I couldn't believe it and asked, why aren't you speaking? He shook his head. I have nothing left to say. Then why? Why? I couldn't understand. How could the gentle, kind Ning Wudao have done such a thing? He gave a bitter laugh. Because I love you. Because I wanted to fight for us. Even if heaven itself forbids us to be together, I still wanted to fight. His silver hair fluttered in the wind. Those eyes that once captivated me now bore white, crackling fissures. Only then did I realize the creature before me was a monster. The next instant, the world shifted violently. The earth shook, mountains trembled, and his eyes widened in alarm. Watch out! As if the gods themselves were enraged, every structure collapsed in that moment. When faced with immense disaster, the first reaction is numbness. I heard the thunderous roar, my mind going blank. Xiao Jingqing cried out, Xinjiayan. In the nick of time, Ning Wudao scooped me up and leapt into the air. I watched Xiao Jingqing charge toward me, only to be struck down by a falling beam. Nearly every building in the capital lay in ruins. Some had split open with chasms several zhang wide. Survivors scrambled frantically, some half buried in the rubble, crying for help. Chaos reigned, dust swirling everywhere. The moment we landed, my mind went blank for an instant before I rushed toward Xiao Jingqing without a second thought. He lay nearly immobilized, coughing several times before grabbing my hand. Xinjiayan, are you okay? I'm fine. My hands trembled as I tried to clear the bricks and wood from his body, but the slightest pressure sent him writhing in pain, nearly fainting. Xiao Jingqing, are you okay? No, not really. He coughed up a mouthful of blood. I was at a loss, staring at his pale face until my vision blurred. Xiao Jingqing, why did you come? I was so cruel to you. He shook his head. I told you, this lifetime, you can't drive me away. Xinjiayan, when you said you hated me that day, was it true? No. I don't hate you at all. Xiao Jingqing, I know the truth now. You never harmed me, it was all Xinjia's doing. I saw everything. Good. Xiao Jingqing, hang on. Once you're better, we'll get married, okay? All right. Once I'm better, we'll get married. He smiled contentedly. Xinjiayan, don't cry. You look much prettier when you smile. As he spoke, he raised his hand to wipe my face, only to realize mid-motion that his palm was only half intact. The remaining part was being blown away like sand by the wind. I reached out to grasp it, but my hand closed around nothing. He seemed to want to say something, but before the words could leave his lips, his entire body collapsed, turning into a pile of scattered sand. I couldn't believe what was happening before my eyes. Kneeling on the ground, I remained utterly silent for a long time. Screams filled my ears. Looking up, I saw countless people, just like Xiao Jingqing, dissolving into sand and vanishing. The entire world was collapsing, everything felt utterly unreal. The sky grew darker and darker, the sun reduced to a mere ring. I watched as people vanished one by one, until the whole world was left with only Ning Wudao and me. Jiayan. He grabbed my arm, trying to pull me up. I grabbed him back. Did you do this? This is a dream, right? They're not dead, are they? It wasn't me. Then. Is this what your master meant by defying heaven and inviting disaster? He surveyed the desolate, ruined surroundings, his gaze pained as he met mine. I'm sorry. This isn't what I wanted either. Suddenly, I felt drained, unable to support myself, and collapsed to the ground. But why are all the people I care about gone, and only I remain alive? He paused, then asked in a trembling voice, I'm still alive. Am I not someone you care about? In that moment, my throat suddenly tightened, and I couldn't speak. Jiayan, if Xiao Jingqing and I competed fairly, would you choose me? He waited, but when no answer came, he laughed. That laugh was filled with despair. I understand now. Jiayan, don't cry. They'll all come back to life. Hope flared within me. What? He gazed at me, his eyes reflecting a shattered glimmer. "Do you remember the Taihua jade the crown prince lost? It was gifted by immortals, it can reverse time." "The Taihua jade? Really? Where is it?" "Wait, it fell into the lake. I'll go retrieve it." "No need to search." "Why?" "Because it's far away in the heavens, yet close at hand." He pointed at himself, smiling bitterly. "I am the soul of that Taihua jade. In my past life, I saw you and the crown prince murdered by treacherous men. My heart ached with pity, so I guided you both to rebirth, resolving the misunderstanding. Yet I never imagined I myself would fall into the mortal realm, forget everything, and form a bond with you." I looked at him, a flash of realization striking my mind. Yes, in my past life, I never knew of a third prince. At the spring banquet of that lifetime, I never saw any silver-haired man, because he never existed. Ning Wudao knelt halfway, scooping up a handful of sand. Watching it drift away in the wind, he murmured distractedly, "I never sought to compete. I always regarded Xiao Jingqing as my elder brother. It wasn't until that day in the mirror, when I saw my true form, that my memories returned. I realized I was merely a fragment of jade spirit, unworthy even of loving another. The more I understood this, the more I resented it. Malice began to grow within me." He surveyed the devastation around him, his voice tinged with self-mockery. "But in the end, I could never defy the will of heaven. Jiayan, I'm sorry. I never meant to hurt you." A gust of wind stirred, and a white light swirled around him as his form gradually faded into nothingness. My emotions were too complex to articulate. Watching him vanish, I found myself speechless. "Jiayan, I'll send you to meet him." When I awoke, thick smoke filled my vision. It seemed this time, I had reborn before being burned to death. Someone rushed in wrapped in a wet quilt, straining to pry the wood off me. "Shin Jiayan." It was him. I smiled as he lifted me, escaping the inferno. Many people rushed over, dousing us with water. "Xiao Jingqing, you're here." "I'm here." Xiao Jingqing held me, his hair and eyes both wet. "Shin Jiayan, this time I finally didn't arrive too late." Suddenly, sobbing erupted nearby. I turned to see it was Lady Bai. "Where's Yushu? Has anyone seen Yushu?" I struggled to lift my head and asked, "Is Bai Yushu here?" Madame Bai cried urgently, "Yushu saw smoke rising from your house and ran over with a bucket." "Where is she?" I scanned the area, then urgently directed the maids and servants, "Search. Quickly, search." "Found her. Found her." Several servants carried out a figure blackened by smoke. Madame Bai was about to cry out, but the servant quickly added, "She's not dead." "Not dead. Just soot blackened." I breathed a sigh of relief. Madame Bai rushed over, calling, "Yushu! Yushu!" It was useless. Bao Chan ran over, splashed a ladle of water on her face, and only then did she cough once and slowly open her eyes. The moment she regained consciousness, Bai Yushu suddenly burst into tears. "Mother! Shin Jiayan is dead. Mother! Mother!" Madame Bai hurriedly said, "Don't cry, she's not dead. She's not dead. She's dead. I saw it. I didn't even get there in time before they buried her. Mother, Shin Jiayan is dead. She's dead." Her wails were heart-wrenching, and she couldn't hear a word. Madame Bai was nearly driven to desperation. She slapped her across the face, then pointed at me and demanded, "See for yourself if she's dead." Stunned by the blow, Bai Yushu turned her head, dazed. She saw me, froze for a moment, then exhaled in relief. Her body went limp, and she fainted again. "Where's Shin Jiahe?" I demanded urgently. The courtyard fell silent. My mother wiped her eyes and glanced toward a corner. On the door panel lay a charred corpse, its hand still clutching a jade pendant shattered into 2 pieces. Because of this fire, my marriage to Xiao Jingqing was postponed by a month. On the wedding day, Bai Yushu wept even more bitterly than my mother. Madame Bai jabbed her impatiently, scolding, "What are you crying for? It's not your daughter getting married." Bai Yushu wept even harder. "Why shouldn't I cry? Shin Jiayan's married into a high-ranking family, and I'm still unmarried." "Wah!" She'll be the crown princess. I'll have to kneel and bow to her. It's infuriating. Enough, enough. She'll be the crown princess, you'll never even see her. Hearing this, Baiyushu wept even harder. Her wailing grew so loud that Lady Bai hurriedly covered her mouth. Xiao Jingqing escorted me back to the Eastern Palace. That night, he handed me the jade pendant, now fully repaired. Its luster was gone, making it indistinguishable from an ordinary piece of jade. I examined it from all angles, my thoughts drifting to Ning Wudao. It felt surreal. Had all that really happened? Tell me, I murmured, if this jade shatters, where would Ning Wudao go? Xiao Jingqing pondered for a moment. That name sounds familiar. Who is Ning Wudao? You've forgotten? I gasped in shock. What was I saying? Who was Ning Wudao? Outside the crimson silk canopy, the immortal Tai Hua tucked away his whisk and cleared his throat. Turning to the silver-haired man behind him, he said, "Let's go. We can't watch any further." "Thank you. Would you like me to do the same for you?" "No need. Didn't you say she was my tribulation? If I forget her, how can I have truly endured it?" "True. Let's go." After taking a few steps, the silver-haired man suddenly stopped. He turned to look at the crimson canopy, murmured an incantation, and channeled a beam of golden light into it. What was that? A little blessing. The silver-haired man gazed ahead, smiling gently. She will live a long life, free from worry. End of main text, extra, Xiao Jingqing. My first encounter with Shinjiayan occurred at the Lantern Festival banquet in the palace. At the time, she was sparring wittily with a young lady from the Bai family, vibrant, lively, radiant, and utterly unlike the lifeless crowd around us. Yet her eyes seemed fixed only on the person beside her and the rice in her bowl, never once lifting to meet mine. After the banquet, she lingered in my thoughts, impossible to forget. I secretly sent inquiries and learned through circuitous means that she was the eldest daughter of the Shin family, Shinjiayan. Her father held only a minor official post, lacking power or influence. Marrying Shinjiayan would bring me no advantage, and my father the emperor would never consent. So I buried this matter deep within my heart, never daring to think of it again. Yet the more I tried to forget, the more I couldn't control myself. I found myself constantly thinking of her, longing to see her. Eventually, my mother discovered this. I expected her to scold me, but she didn't. She said that family background and status could never compare to the importance of what one truly cherished in their heart. If I sacrificed my true love for the sake of consolidating power, I would only regret it for the rest of my life. She added that she would petition father to grant us a royal marriage. Overwhelmed with joy yet filled with hesitation, I worried, what if Shinjiayan didn't feel the same? Wouldn't forcing her into this ruin her life? Mother suggested hosting a spring appreciation banquet, inviting her to attend. There, I could meet her and ask for her true feelings. 3 restless months passed before the day arrived. On the day of the banquet, I spotted Shinjiayan playing by the lakeside at once. On my way over, I rehearsed countless greetings and opening lines. Yet none came to use. Just steps from her, I stepped on unmelted ice by the lake and fell into the water. I couldn't swim. Choking on water, my vision darkened. As I struggled, someone suddenly grabbed me, pulling me up for air. Opening my eyes, I saw it was Shinjiayan. I thought, whatever feelings I had, she'd already kissed me. There was no escaping now. After that day, I don't know what method mother used, but she truly persuaded father to grant the marriage. I was overjoyed and thought of Shinjiayan even more. Yet, before the wedding, I feared she might think me frivolous, so I dared not visit her privately. Shinjiayan seldom ventured out, her furthest travels being the monthly visits to her maternal grandmother's home on the 1st and 15th days of the lunar month. I would wait for her at the appointed times, standing on the streets she passed, just to catch a glimpse of her from afar. After enduring a year of this, with the wedding day approaching, I thought I would finally see her every day once we were married. Little did I know that on the eve of the wedding, I suddenly learned that the Shin residence had caught fire. Forgetting all propriety, I spurred my horse to the Shin residence, charging into the flames to find her. But the fire raged too fiercely. By the time I finally located Shinjiayan, escape was impossible. When I awoke, it was at the Spring Festival Banquet. After searching for a long time, I spotted Xinjiayan. Unlike in my previous life, this time she wasn't seated by the lake. Beside her stood a silver-haired man. Mother said that silver-haired man was my third younger brother, Ning Wudao. Because he was considered an ill-omened person, he had been sent to a Taoist temple since childhood, which was why I had never met him. I didn't dwell on it much, only knowing that in this life, I would never let Xinjiayan slip away again. I followed the pattern of my past life, walking to the lakeside, leaping in, and waiting for Xinjiayan to rescue me. But after splashing about for ages, just as the palace attendants were about to pull me out, Xinjiayan still hadn't come. I looked up and saw her standing with Ning Wudao, the two of them chatting and laughing, utterly joyful. Furious, I gave up struggling. I didn't want to live anymore. My thoughts raced. Perhaps fate had shifted, and this lifetime, Xinjiayan and I were no longer meant to cross paths. Midnight thoughts drove me to slam my fist on the table. Fate be damned, what I, Xiao Jingqing, said was law. Feverish, I rode through the night to the Shen residence, scaling the wall to enter her chambers. As she jolted awake, fury boiling over, I demanded, Xinjiayan, why didn't you save me today? But before she could answer, she fainted from the shock. I had no choice but to return to the palace for now, plotting my next move. Before I could devise a plan, trouble struck Xinjiayan again. My confidant reported she'd grown close to third Prince Ning Wudao. Their relationship seemed far from ordinary. Startled, I rushed over without a second thought, desperate to tear them apart. But this couldn't go on. If I hesitated like in my past life, Xinjiayan would be swept away by someone else. So I steeled my resolve, sneaked into her chambers once more, and confessed my feelings. I was certain I'd acted swiftly enough this time, that I'd made it in time. But she told me it was too late. She loved Ning Wudao and had already pledged herself to him. I stood frozen for an eternity before daring to believe I hadn't misheard. My heart felt like it had been crushed in someone's fist. I returned to the East Palace, utterly lost and broken. Where had I gone wrong? How could Xinjiayan have fallen for someone else? Had I arrived too late? Had our connection truly run its course? After sitting in numb despair for hours, dawn broke. My confidant informed me Xinjiayan had gone to see Ning Wudao again. I leapt to my feet. What nonsense about fate ending. How could the person I'd loved for so many years be so easily snatched away by some upstart who appeared out of nowhere? Even if heaven forbade us from being together, I would force it. I would twist this melon off. Braving the rain, I spurred my horse to the third prince's residence. I told her our marriage was destined in a past life, and no one could tear us apart. But when she looked at me, she suddenly gave a cold laugh. Only then did I realize she, too, had been reborn. She said that in our past life, I had caused her death. This time, she would never let history repeat itself. I was stunned. But when had I ever hurt her? How could I ever bring myself to do such a thing? We stood frozen in place until Ning Wudao stepped forward, pulling us together and urging us to talk properly. She finally agreed to give me a chance to prove myself. The events of our past life might be unverifiable, but I could at least prove my heart. As long as I could stay by Xinjiayan's side, even if she scolded me or despised me, it didn't matter. I believed that one day, she would see my true feelings. Not long after, banditry ravaged Jiangnan, plunging the people into misery. As Crown Prince, I felt duty-bound to act. I volunteered to lead a campaign south to quell the unrest. As I departed, I gazed at the city gate for a long, long time, but she never came. Well, she never said she would see me off. I gave a self-mocking chuckle and spurred my horse forward. The journey to Jiangnan offered breathtaking scenery. I thought to myself, I must bring her here someday. Unexpectedly, upon reaching Jiangnan, news arrived from the capital. Xinjiayan had been betrothed to the third prince, with their wedding set for the following month. I couldn't believe it. The shock overwhelmed me, and I coughed up blood. After regaining my composure, I steadied my mind. My first act was to immediately enter the mountains to hunt down the bandits. For days and nights, I raced relentlessly, barely closing my eyes. After slaying the bandit leader, I turned my horse around at once and raced back to the capital. I had to stop this. She was my crown princess. No one would take her from me. It was a day of torrential rain when Shinjiayan had just finished trying on her wedding gown. I rushed to her side, standing alone in the downpour, demanding why she hadn't waited for me. Her face was deathly pale. After a long silence, she said, "I hate you." My heart shattered for a moment. But in the next instant, I saw that though her words spoke of hatred, her eyes were filled with nothing but heartbreak. Ning Wudao stood nearby, his expression tense. I snapped to attention, instantly realizing something was terribly wrong. So I feigned utter despair, turned and left. Back at the Eastern Palace, I immediately mobilized every available man in the capital to secretly trail Ning Wudao and uncover what had transpired these past days. Sure enough, on the eve of the wedding, I discovered Shinjiahe drowned in the pond at Ning Wudao's residence, along with a Taoist priest who had narrowly escaped being killed. I used my connections to save the priest. The moment I pried the truth from his lips, my heart ached unbearably. That third brother of mine, always so gentle and refined, had actually harmed her. I had no time to ponder if he had any grievances, I only wanted to tear him limb from limb. The next day, I ordered the Taoist priest to disguise himself, lure out Shinjiayan and Ning Wudao, and then expose Ning Wudao's lies right before her eyes. I thought Ning Wudao's confession would settle everything. But I never imagined it would be so complicated. My third brother was no ordinary man. In an instant, the heavens shifted, the earth shook violently, houses collapsed, and I was knocked unconscious by falling beams. Why does it always happen like this? Always at the very last moment, always when I think my suffering is finally ending, my illusions are shattered. I rarely accept fate, for I always believed that man can overcome heaven. If I set my mind to it, I could achieve anything. But this time, it felt like I couldn't win no matter what. Perhaps I really should accept it. Suddenly, warmth spread through my palm. I looked up to see Shinjiayan's tear-streaked face. Would Shinjiayan cry for me? I thought bitterly, recalling how she'd said she hated me that day. After wallowing in self-pity for a while, I finally couldn't hold back and asked her, "When you said you hated me, was that true?" She shook her head urgently, hugging me tightly. "I don't hate you. Once you're better, we'll get married." She added, "Xiao Jingqing, I like you." I stood there stunned for a long time, a lump forming in my throat. I'd waited 2 lifetimes for those words. Just one word of affection from her could effortlessly mend the cracks in my heart. I even forgot the pain in my own body. I was simply overjoyed, never had I felt such happiness in all my days. I longed to touch her face. I reached out, only to see my hand dissolve into sand in the wind. But I hadn't even touched her yet. It was always too late. Yet even when it's too late, I'll still rush toward you again and again. I gazed at her and whispered, "In the next life, I will find you again." When I awoke, I was dozing in the Eastern Palace study. Guards burst through the door, shouting, "Your Highness! It's terrible! The Shin residence is on fire." I hadn't expected to wake again. After a moment's daze, I shot out like an arrow. I spurred my horse toward the Shin residence. This lifetime, I knew the path to the Shin house better than before. I could make it in time, I absolutely could. Amidst the stunned gazes of everyone present, I burst into the room where Shinjiayan was trapped. She lay buried beneath a collapsed beam, barely clinging to life, yet still alive. Overwhelmed with joy, I shifted the beam aside and carried her out of the inferno. "Xiao Jingqing." She slowly regained consciousness, smiling as she said, "You came." The taut string in my heart finally relaxed. This time, I hadn't arrived too late. Extra, Shinjiahe, I had a nightmare. In the dream, I burned my eldest sister, Shinjiayan, to death. But how could I possibly burn Shinjiayan? She was my favorite sister. Father had 8 daughters. The eldest, Shinjiayan, was the only legitimate child. I grew up with the other 6 sisters. By 5 or 6, I'd already learned to scheme and compete. In this household, every woman was cunning and constantly plotting. But Shinjiayan was different. She didn't live or eat with us. Father and mother taught her personally, so she never had to fight for anything. So she seemed more easygoing and generous, without that petty, small-minded nitpicking. When I was 10, my sisters beat me up over a few flower branches. Then Shinjiayan appeared. She shooed everyone away, helped me up, wiped my face, and sent them back to their rooms to reflect. I thought, this sister is truly wonderful. I longed to play with Shinjiayan, just like I did with Bayushu next door, squatting among the flowers all afternoon catching ants. But I never even got the chance to exchange more than a few words with her. When I was 13, I accompanied my mother to burn incense at the temple. Some drunken playboy from some family lost his mind in the temple, grabbing my hand to make advances. Fortunately, a young man stepped forward, kicked him to the ground, and had him dragged out. This youth was strikingly handsome, radiating an aura that was utterly captivating. Only after he left did I learn he was the current crown prince, Xiao Jingqing. That was the happiest day of my life. I silently murmured his name, secretly yearning to see him again. But with my lowly status, how could I ever hope to approach him? I could only secretly gather news of him, stealing a glance whenever he passed by somewhere. 3 years later, my stepmother died of illness. I went to the estate to observe a year of mourning for her. That year of lonely, cold days was barely endured only by thinking of him. The day I returned to the capital, Shinjiayan was the first person I went to see. I had made some dried meat and really wanted her to try it. But as soon as I entered, I heard her say the crown prince was going to the Qingtian temple. I had no idea what had happened in the year I was away. Why did Shinjiayan recognize the crown prince? And from the tone of her voice, they seemed quite intimate. A chill ran through me. I dared not imagine what might be between them, but I knew I could no longer hide and hesitate. The next day, I went to the Qingtian temple too. This was where I first met Xiao Jingqing. A sliver of hope lingered in my heart. Perhaps he still remembered me? Perhaps, upon seeing me again, he might feel something for me? I waited a long time until he emerged after drawing his fortune slip. I hurried over, creating a chance encounter. But he didn't recognize me at all. He had no memory of me. Only when I said my name did he finally look at me properly and ask, "Are you Shinjiayan's sister?" That name, spoken aloud, was so bitterly envious. I refused to give up. I tried a little trick, tripping and falling toward him, but he wasn't fooled. He just watched me fall to the ground. Just then, Shinjiayan suddenly appeared. The moment Xiao Jingqing saw her, he rushed over. Watching them, I felt as if I'd fallen into an ice cave. My most revered sister had effortlessly stolen the man I loved. After returning home, I secretly observed them and indeed discovered their relationship was anything but ordinary. Once, I even saw Xiao Jingqing climb over the wall to find her. Jealousy consumed me. I hated myself, and I hated Shinjiayan. I had revered her so deeply, yet she was the one who wounded me most. I despised them both, yet a sliver of hope lingered. If Shinjiayan truly married Xiao Jingqing, I wouldn't mind accompanying her as a bridesmaid. I wouldn't mind at all. But then, one day, Shinjiayan told me they had arranged a marriage for me, to send me to Hangzhou. My last shred of hope shattered. I was put aboard the ship, my heart filled with hatred, yet utterly powerless against it all. Just then, a Taoist priest boarded the vessel. Before my eyes, he revived a dead rabbit. He said he could help me. If I could make Shinjiayan leave Xiao Jingqing, he had a way to make me the crown princess. I agreed without hesitation, not even asking what the price would be. I thought, whatever it was, I would accept it. So I returned to the capital, bribed the Shin family's coachman, and had Shinjiayan taken to a remote place. The original plan was to threaten her with Bao Chan's life. She valued loyalty above all and would never stand by while someone died. Unexpectedly, Bayushu appeared halfway through. The moment they shielded each other, I suddenly felt like crying. I remembered how much I had once admired this elder sister, how grateful I'd been for her timely rescues. But things had come this far. I had no choice but to continue. Everything seemed to be going smoothly. Shinjiayan and Ning Wudao became betrothed, and he even banished Xiao Jingqing. I thought it was all about to end, that better days were finally coming. But on the eve of their wedding, that Taoist priest brought me to the third prince's mansion. Only then did I realize Ning Wudao was the mastermind behind everything. He looked at me and said, "It's all over." Suddenly, I was terrified and wanted to flee. Yet a flash of white light pierced my chest. My eyes widened as I fell into the pond. Strangely, the last person I thought of before dying wasn't Xiao Jingqing, it was Shinjiayan. I remembered her wiping my face clean, tucking a hibiscus blossom into my hair, and smiling as she said, "So I have such a beautiful younger sister." I remembered her standing before Bai Yuzhu, shielding her with her own body. How unfair, I was her sister, after all. If not for Xiao Jingqing, she and I would never have reached this point. But there are no ifs. The lake water submerged me, drowning all regrets and secrets. The story ends here. Thank you all for your company. See you in the next chapter.